Hi everyone, I'm Lynsey Henry and I'm back for another live event with Stigma-Free Society. Now, just to remind you, we're doing these live events for you. So if any question you have for me, I will answer it to the best of my ability. And reminder as well, check out our video disclaimer, and we're just doing that for you and your safety. So please take a moment to review that. The website with all of our awesome resources is stigmafreetoolkit.com. So check it out, and we're adding new things each week. So we're excited to share that with you. Just to remind you of myself, I'm Lynsey Henry. I'm a registered clinical counselor, and I work as a school counselor as well. Formerly, I was a teacher in a kindergarten and grade 1 class. I worked as a substitute teacher, and I also worked in group homes with teenagers as well. So for today, I thought it would be good to talk about some creative coping strategies that you can be using at home with your youth if you're a parent, some different suggestions for educators, and other counselors, some different cool strategies and creative strategies that you can use with your clients. Also, since COVID-19, in March when we were in quarantine and stuck at home, I thought it would be really helpful to just think through some different activities that will promote self-care and some creative and fun coping strategies, as well as apps and things that are practical that you can use at home. So when I think of creativity, I think of art therapy. And I think art therapy is really cool, so I try and incorporate it as much as possible in my practice. So some different pluses and some whys. Why do people do art therapy? Well, it increases our neural connection in the area of our brain that deals with introspection, so looking within, our memory, and our self-monitoring. It also increases positive perspective, so makes us more optimistic. And we become more self-aware and get to know ourselves better through doing art. We also get better at coping in the future. We become more psychologically resilient and stronger, able to bounce back from difficult situations. Our brains are very engaged when we're working on art. So I notice this in my office in working with students. If we're doing an art activity or something together that we both do, and a shared experience really helps build the therapeutic relationship, as well as getting my students to open up more about their experiences and their struggles of what's going on for them. So as a school counselor and just parents, what are some things that you can do at home, or what are some of my favorite activities? I'll share some of those with you. So one of my first activities I do when I'm getting to know a student, I play a game called Feelings Jenga, and I get to know them really well through that. But an art activity that I do to get to know them is story stones. So I collect different river rocks and bring them into my office. And on the river rocks, we use paint pens that are from Michael's or a craft store. And I just get them to draw an image that's meaningful to them, or that just tells a story about themselves. And that really helps me get to know them better. Mandalas. I love to just color mandalas with students in my office while we talk. And it's proven that the intricate shapes and designs around them has helped to reduce anxiety. And I did a research project actually during my master's in counseling. And there was a study done on test anxiety in youth and doing a spelling quiz. And if they got them to do coloring of mandalas at first, then they were proven to have less anxiety when they were doing their spelling quiz. So I thought that was really cool, and I wanted to incorporate that in my practice. Even as a teacher, I would have mindfulness Mondays, and I would color with my students in the classroom in the mornings, just to help that transition from the weekend. So that's a fun tip for educators too. Even just other mindful coloring books. I have several different ones in my office, and I'll print different worksheets off, and we can color them together while we talk, or I'll even take students outside to color and talk as well. Paint by numbers is a fun one that you can do at home that you can pick up from a craft store, and they have really great distraction techniques. Just by focusing in on that, you can help reduce your anxiety or kind of get away from those negative thoughts. Diffusing calm scents in your home. So even doing it in your teenager's bedroom or your youth's bedroom, using lavender oil. I actually have a scent station set up in my office that kind of explains how the scents calm our body down and how it travels to our brain to produce a feeling of calm, a sense of calm. directed drawings on YouTube. I did this in the quarantine when I was still talking to some of my students for counseling sessions. I would meet with them on Zoom and I would screen share some different directed drawings. In particular, I did some of the characters from Inside Out. So they have the different emotions like anger and sadness and fear. And while we went through drawing each of these characters, we also went through different coping strategies that go along with those emotions. So it was a fun way to kind of integrate art and feeling talk with a younger student of mine. And if you're a counselor yourself, a really cool website that I found helpful in finding different strategies and art activities to do was www.arttherapyresources.com.au, and it's an Australian website, and they have lots of really fun counseling activities that you can try with your clients. Some fun videos. So as a classroom teacher, I would do things like Go Noodle and Just Dance for brain breaks with students. And as a school counselor this year, I had a yoga group on Fridays. So we would do Cosmic Kids yoga on Fridays. I also took my girls' CBT group, cognitive behavioral therapy group, into an empty space, a portable, and we turned off the lights nice and dim, and we did some yoga together and taught those mindfulness techniques that are so important. Another one that's kind of fun, that's all over the place these days, is TikTok. So different workout videos on there and dances, just trying to have a good laugh and have a good experience, and creative ways to just kind of feel positive with your child. And it's a lot of fun too. And the Toolkit activity generator, and it's going to be updated for the fall with lots of fun and unique different ideas there. And you can find that at the Stigma-Free-Toolkit.com. Some cool suggestions. I came across someone on TikTok and I thought his suggestions were really cool and innovative for different mental health problems. And he is, his tag is at Driven Exotics or Driven Industries. And in Driven, it's a 1. So I'll tag him after in this post and you can check him out. For anxiety, he had so many cool strategies around just engaging the senses as a way to distract ourselves. So he was suggesting using warheads or Sour Patch Kids, gum, like M&Ms, taking the chocolate off to distract our brain. So lots of kind of sensory-based kind of strategies for anxiety. Even an elastic band on the wrist, ice, sensory rings, and other fidget kind of tools to help distract ourselves. Listerine was one of them, where you swish it around your mouth and then you focus on breathing through your nose slowly. As well as just like a cold soda when we're feeling anxious, our body's hot. So putting the cold soda kind of on your neck and taking a moment to drink it slowly and feel the bubbles on your tongue before swallowing it. Lemon or oranges, so those citrus kind of tastes. Rolling the orange or the lemon in your hand and then tasting it, the sour, and engaging the senses that way. For self-harm, he had some cool suggestions around using a red marker and writing different words of encouragement, or using ice and running that along the skin, and liquid glue, putting that on the skin, letting it dry and peeling it off, or even just tape and getting yourself to peel it off to kind of engage yourself and take yourself away from that moment and that temptation to self-harm. So another thing I came across that I noticed a lot of my friends doing on Facebook was this music challenge that was happening. And people were choosing their 10 favorite albums during COVID-19 and how it shaped their life or shaped their childhood, what was popular for them. So that was kind of happening around April, May, and I participated in it. And I thought it was a really fun coping way to just self-reflect and become more self-aware of why we like the music that we like, or maybe it has some kind of relation to the struggles we're going through at that time. That's certainly what I've noticed with some of my students when they share some of the music they listen to with me, is that the lyrics and the things that are said in the songs really do connect with some of the struggles, the internal struggles that they're having. So that's a cool one. Youth and teens just love music overall, so why not try and incorporate that as a way to help them cope, and putting that in their safety plans, and getting them to create playlists for themselves around self-confidence, anger, anxiety, and just different calm music they can use to cope in those moments. And some teachers in class will even let their students listen to music when they're having a tough time or a tough day. So I think that's a really cool tip as well. Music in the brain. So what do studies say about music and how it calms us down? Well, it pulls our attention away from that negative stimuli, and it releases feel-good chemicals for ourselves and stimulates our brain waves to be more alert or a more meditative state. And it just improves our state of mind, takes our mind away from that anxiety or depression, can even take away some of the perception of pain and reduce it by taking our mind off that pain and focusing on something else, like the song lyrics and how they make us feel. Another art activity I love to do with my students around music is doing a crayon resist. So I get them to write some of their favorite song lyrics or positive quotes, and then on top of it, we paint with watercolor paints, and it ends up turning into a really beautiful painting that they could hang up in their room, because when they wake up in the morning, just seeing something positive, just to help fuel that positive mindset, optimistic mindset, to help them feel better and cope with their feelings. Now I'm going to talk about a few different apps. I love apps as well because they're very practical, and everyone has their devices these days, and you can just pull it out and use it for just more mild mental health concerns. Of course, if your mental health concerns are more severe, you're going to want to seek help from a professional psychologist or counselor, or see your family doctor. But for milder concerns, they do teach some really good strategies, some of these apps, so I wanted to share them with you. One of my favorites is the Mind Shift app, and that's from Anxiety Canada, and they have tons of resources on their website, including the My Anxiety Plan, which I recommend to a lot of my students and parents to follow through the different modules, and they have lots of great tips there that are based in cognitive behavioral therapy. So on this MindShift app, it also does the same thing. They have different check-ins, psychoeducation, teaching children and youth about the different types of anxiety, and different tools that they can use, and coping cards, which are really practical, and a thought journal, thinking through their different thoughts and how they can change them to be more positive, belief experiments and meditations, some different exposure exercises, and teaching them healthy habits to manage their anxiety. So that's MindShift. Another app is called Smiling Minds that I like, and it has lots of meditations for adults, kids, youth, families, for the classroom, for in different workplaces, and they even have a particular section for healthcare workers during this tough time. So that's Smiling Mind. Another app I really like is Insight Timer, and they have 45,000 different meditations, and they're free for different areas like stress, sleep, anxiety, work, relationships, self-esteem, mornings. Also, they have different music tracks to help you disconnect and kind of drift away to sleep. And a timer category for different types of bells and using those sound bowls. Fantasia, that was doing yoga on Fridays, was using this really cool sound bowl to help with meditation. And they have those different sounding sound bowls on Insight Timer for free. So that's really cool. Headspace is another one, and it has a free trial. This program is more of a program-based different sessions. So they have sleep casts, mobility workouts, engaging meditations for kids using different characters, Sesame Street characters, and they also have their own little kind of cartoon characters to really engage kids and get them learning about meditation and the benefits of mindfulness. Daily affirmations is one that I use every day, and it actually has an alarm, and you can set it at whatever time of day, where generally I try and set it around 10 a.m. and I like to see the affirmation then, after I've had kind of my morning coffee, started my day and my routine. And it gives you a cool affirmation with different backgrounds. So some of the backgrounds are more like a galaxy, some are kind of more tie-dyed, some are more like a sunset, and just really positive words that you can take with you forward for your day and set a positive intention. And so that's really cool, called Daily Affirmations. Another one for teens is called What's Up, a mental health app. And this one is based in cognitive behavioral therapy and acceptance and commitment therapy. And they have different coping strategies and suggestions for depression, anxiety, anger, stress, and many more different mental health problems. And they talk about the 12 different thinking errors and the 10 different metaphors to help cope with your negative feelings, a diary log, positive and negative, a habit tracker with goals, a catastrophe scale, a grounding game, breathing techniques, forums, and positive quotes. So that's called What's Up, a mental health app, and really good for teens. The last one I'm going to tell you about is called Calm Harm, and this is really good for anyone, youth or teens struggling with self-harm. Now, it has different tasks there in 4 different categories to help manage or resist the urges to self-harm. It's password protected, just to keep your own personal things protected, and thoughts, and the 4 categories are distract. So it teaches you that self-control. Comfort is the second category, teaching you self-care. Express, the 3rd category, it helps teach you to get your feelings out in different ways. And release is the 4th category, to help you see different alternatives to self-injury or self-harm. It also has a log or journal portion where you can practice different breathing strategies and sharing your thoughts in kind of a thought journal. And this one was developed by a psychologist and uses dialectical behavioral therapy techniques, which are really evidence-based and proven. So that one was called Calm Harm. And apps for educators. I just have 2 here, and then I'm going to take your questions. So apps for educators. The first is Calm, and it's free for educators. And you can use it in your classroom. And it has so many different meditations in different categories. And there's new ones added each week and daily ones added. So it's really good to teach students the basics of meditation. And I would say a good time to try it would be in the morning or maybe after lunch instead of silent reading. Why not incorporate a quick 5-minute meditation to teach them those really important mindfulness skills? The second one I really like right now is called Canva. And on my Passionate Counselor Instagram, I've been using Canva a lot. It's super cool. And you get to create your own social media graphics. And you can use it for presentations, posters, reports, worksheets, flyers, and signage. And it really helps teach applied design skills, which is a big part of the curriculum right now for youth, is teaching them those skills. For myself, I like to send out messages of mental health and different ways to cope using Canva and using fun graphics to capture people's attention in teaching these different coping strategies. So I have some time for questions, and then I'm going to make an emotion wheel with you. So I'm just going to have a look here if I have any questions. How do I encourage a child to open him or herself up to art therapy when there is resistance? So if the child thinks he or she is bad at art, I would say, I think as a counselor or professional, you really want to work with your client and what works best for them. So if they're really, really resistant to art and not really open to trying that, I would kind of follow through with trying a different strategy, maybe a CBT strategy with them rather than an art-based strategy. Or I would leave it really open-ended so that they can take it however they like. Instead of assigning a particular thing to draw, I would just leave a paper and pencil in front of them and let them just kind of doodle whatever they feel like doodling. And I found some really cool graphics on Pinterest about different things we can draw for different emotions. So if we're feeling lost, we can draw a doorway. If we're feeling anxious, we can draw spirals or waves and just different things around that. So I'll post that and share that with you because it's really kind of the basics of art therapy, just using line and color and more doodling, more so than a specific activity that they have to draw if they're worried about their artistic abilities. So thank you for that question. That was a great question. Do you have any preferred scents to promote calm? My favorite is lavender, and even before these lives, sometimes I'll roll on lavender oil. There's tons of other different ones though. I have some citrus scents. I have some more expensive ones called like yoga that mix different types. I believe there's doTERRA, different oils, but it's just kind of whatever makes you feel good, more florally scents. I would recommend just getting kind of a kind of starter pack where there's a variety of different scents and just picking and choosing what you like the best and what makes you feel the most calm, whether that be vanilla, lavender, or more of like a hibiscus floral sort of scent. It's all kind of up to you and what feels good for you. I've seen many fidgets in the hands of kids. What is the purpose of them? I love using fidget tools. I have a big basket in my office. And also I recommend parents set up a calm down toolbox at home for their child if they're struggling with mental health. So the purpose of them is just to kind of engage our body with something else and kind of take away from those negative thoughts. And you can do that by using kind of, I have this Aaron's putty and all the kids in my office just love it. If I sit it on the table when they first come in and they're feeling nervous, there's not really any kid I've seen that doesn't want to try it. It's really stretchy, and you can roll it in a ball, or you can stretch it out, or all kinds of different things you can do with it. So it's just kind of to take our mind off of our feelings and to engage our body with something to help us cope, really. And it's creative and fun. Stress balls for anger. If we tense our muscles, it helps us calm down. Also just breathing balls I have in my office, and they kind of expand and help us to slow down our breathing. Glitter bottles and glitter wands I have in my office to kind of teach us to just slow down and watch the glitter fall while breathing deeply. So that's just some of the things I like about sensory tools and calm down tools. What are your thoughts on meditation with kids? I think it's really important to teach, but you don't want to do it for too long. So for example, I would start really small with 1 or 2 minutes and not go past that, because you want them to be enjoying it. And I would want to try it perhaps as a classroom teacher. I would want to try it maybe first thing in the morning when they arrive or after lunch. As a parent at home, I would encourage you to try it maybe before your child goes to bed, so they can really kind of see the benefits of how it helps us slow down and get ready for bed and kind of take away some of our busy thoughts in our brain. All right. I'm glad to see so many resources for dealing with self-harm. What should I do if my child comes to me informing me a young friend is engaging in self-harm? Well, if your child is telling you that their friend's engaging in self-harm, that's a duty to report that you need to talk through with your child. As all citizens, we have a duty to report if someone is doing something unsafe, and just explaining that confidentiality process with the child. So I would say that's the best tip, saying that we'll have to talk to that child and their parent, and we're just protecting them and their safety. All right, so I have an activity that I would like to do with you called an emotion wheel. So I'm going to show you kind of what it looks like when it's completed. And you can choose whatever emotions you'd like to use for this activity. And it's a good art therapy activity for younger kids. So I've also used it in my practicum with my children's art therapy group. I think I mentioned that to you before, that I ran an art therapy group for kids whose mothers have escaped abusive relationships. So we did a lot of different activities, and they really enjoyed this one because they got to add their own artistic expression, and it's pretty basic skills as well. So the first step in this one is you're going to want to trace a circle, or you can just sketch out a circle to the best of your ability. So I have my circle here, and you're going to want to divide it into 6 different pie pieces. So mine's kind of a rough sketch here. So you got your 6 different emotions that you're going to focus on, and they can be more basic emotions or emotions that the child has been struggling with. All right, so let's choose some emotions together. If you're watching and you want to comment in with any emotions, then please feel free. So I chose for mine happy. It's one of the basic universal emotions. Hopeful or optimistic. Anxious or scared. Angry. Sad. You can think back to Inside Out. The basic emotions in the movie Inside Out as well are anger, sadness, fear, and disgust. So you can include those. And I think the last one I chose was excited. So just whatever comes to your mind in relation to those different emotions. So for angry, when I think of angry, I think of a volcano exploding. And I like to use that analogy with children as well, because our body's getting really hot and we feel like we're going to explode. So for angry, I'm going to draw a volcano and the steam coming off the volcano and the lava flowing down. But maybe to you, anger is something different. Maybe it's kind of like a stormy day. Maybe anger to you is flames. So whatever you feel and the artistic expression of anger that you feel relates to you the most, please draw that. For sadness, I think of tears. When I'm sad, I often cry and let out those tears. So for sadness, I'm going to draw a cloud, kind of like a stormy day. Maybe even some lightning in there and some rain, or kind of like the tears in our eyes. So I'll show you what I've got so far there. Excited. When I think of excited, I think of doing something really fun. And when I was a kid, I used to go to the fireworks in Vancouver. So I'm going to draw fireworks for excited. But maybe to you, that might be something different. I know a lot of kids love those trampoline parks and stuff these days. So maybe it would be a trampoline park. Maybe it would be like rides at P&E or something like that. But for me, being excited kind of feels like fireworks or going to the fireworks. Happy. So here's where I am. Happy. So how would you relate an image to happy? What makes you think of happy? For myself, I think of a sunny day and being at the beach. That's where I feel most happy. So I'm going to draw a sun and some different waves. There we go, we're happy. Hopeful. To me, when I think of hopeful, I think of a rainy day and now the sun's come out and we have a rainbow. So I'm going to draw a rainbow for hopeful. But maybe that looks different to you. Maybe it's a flower growing in your garden. And you can see the clouds around the corner of my rainbow. Hopeful. All right, the last one I have is anxious. And when I think of anxious, I think of the image of question marks, because in our head we have all these questions, all these what ifs. So for anxious, I'm going to draw a big question mark in the middle, and I'm going to have lots of tiny question marks around the outside of them. But for you, maybe that's something different. And below, I'm going to write what if, because a lot of the time when we're feeling anxious, it is those what ifs. So there we go. That's our emotion wheel. And check me out on Instagram if you would like to see more cool artistic activities that you can try with your kids at home, that you could try as a counselor, or that you can try as an educator to help creative coping and wellness and just taking care of ourselves overall. So thanks so much for tuning in today, and I hope everyone takes care and has a wonderful day. Bye.